Hey guys, and welcome back to yet another video. Now this time I'm going to be doing a video reaction to the Champions League draw that took place a few days ago. Now I've known about the teams we're going to play for a while and things like that, but I couldn't make a video straight away because of some technical issues. But now I can get to make it, and I'm gonna be giving my overall thoughts on it. And I'm also going to be going through by not only who are our opponents, but who the other German clubs also got playing and facing against. So, since this is a newly revamped Champions League, I'm going to be giving you guys just a little bit of idea of what this new Champions League draw was because of the new format and UEFA rules. So basically, there's no more groups of four now. The group stage has been completely scrapped. Instead, to replace that, we now have a new league phase where all 36 teams, which there are now 36 instead of 32, all 36 teams are put into one big league table, and then they will have to play, instead of 3 different opponents that they did in the group stage, they'll have to play against 8 different opponents. And instead of playing them both home and away, like in the old group stage, in this league stage, they only get to play them once. That will be chosen randomly by the computer, whether they'll be playing that opponent at home or they'll be playing them away from home. So, 8 separate opponents in 8 different games in the league phase. Once those 8 games are done, then the points total of the teams that are received combined, the top 8 highest point scorers will immediately pass to the round of 16. Then the teams that are ranked from 9th to 24th still get a chance to make it to the next round via the playoffs, and whoever win the playoffs goes into the round of 16 for their spot. After that, 25th to 36th are automatically eliminated from Europe. There's no more dropping to the Europa League or Conference League in these competitions anymore. If you're below 24th, you're eliminated for good. To be honest, I understand that this new format has gotten a lot of skepticism and criticism from some fans, and it is probably mainly done for money for UEFA as well. I mean, it always is. Football's a money-based sport. But in my personal opinion, I think there are also a lot of positives to take away from this draw. Of course, it's not going to be good that we have more games, because that means now player injuries are now even more likely with this already congested schedule that a lot of teams in the world have. So unless you have a team that is really big in squad depth, you're probably not going to get very far into this competition. So that's something that's very important. Maybe that's why Chelsea bought all those 43 players. Maybe now I think I'm beginning to understand why they did it. But yeah, so that was a bad thing. But 8 different opponents instead of 3 is very exciting and fascinating, because it creates a lot of different potential matches and what do you call it? yeah, many different narratives as well when it comes to these matches. And also forgot to mention you'll play 4 games at home, 4 away. 2 teams you'll face from pot 1, 2 from pot 2, 2 from pot 3, and 2 from pot 4, with 1 being at home and 1 being away. Which means now basically there's no longer an advantage in which pot you'll be, because usually if you were in pot 1, you'd have a big advantage because that means you don't get to face any of the other teams that are in pot 1. But now you actually can face 2 other teams that are in your same pot. So yeah, it doesn't really matter anymore having an advantage. Of course, you're still going to get some teams that will get more easier draws than others, but it's definitely a lot more balanced, and it also gives a chance for the smaller teams to compete against teams that are relatively similar to their level, that maybe they can actually get a few wins or draws against those teams, and that might be enough for them to get a spot in the playoffs. So yeah, that's all things done. I think hopefully you're still with me about how I explained how this new draw and new format works. After the round of 16, it's just your traditional 2-legged round of 16 quarterfinal, semifinal, and then of course the final, which will be taking place at the Allianz Arena this season. So yeah, that's about it. Enough discussing about the new format, how it works, stuff like that. Let's get on with the draw and see. We're gonna go with the German teams first, and I'm gonna mention who Bayern Munich got last. So I wrote this down, and I'm gonna have a look at who the other German teams have drawn. So let's start with Stuttgart from pot 4. So they got PSG at home, Real Madrid away, Atalanta at home, Juventus away, Young Boys at home, Red Star Belgrade away, Sparta Praha at home, and Slovan Bratislava away. My thoughts on Stuttgart's UCL draw? I think they got a very difficult first 4 games. Like PSG, Real Madrid, Atalanta, Juventus. Stuttgart is going to get no rest whatsoever for those 4 games. But the good thing for Stuttgart is once you get past the pot 1, pot 2 teams that they're facing, pot 3 and pot 4 should be, I think, relatively doable for a team of their quality, because Young Boys at home, Red Star away, Sparta Praha, Slovan Bratislava, like on paper, these are teams you should be expecting Stuttgart to win. Juventus away is going to be very difficult. They can potentially grab a result against Atalanta at home. Real Madrid away, I don't think they're gonna get anything from that game. PSG at home, maybe they can fight for a draw in that game. But yeah, like I said, they have a very difficult first 4 opponents. But after that, the last 4 opponents that in their list that they have is definitely much easier than their first 4. So I think they'll be fine and get through to the playoffs. And yeah, I'm very fascinated to see how Stuttgart will do now that they don't have most of their back line anymore and lost some key players. But I think they'll still do just enough to make it to the playoffs because they have a very good manager. Oh, and also, forgot to mention this, that this is not the order of the teams that Stuttgart will be playing. I haven't checked their schedule, but this is just the opponents they're going to be faced. What I list is not the particular order they'll play the games in. I only know Bayern Munich's schedule, but I don't know about Stuttgart's. So, if there's I think I heard Stuttgart is gonna be playing Madrid in the first game, so yeah, good luck to them on that. But yeah. Next up, let's go to Bayer Leverkusen, the new German Bundesliga champions. Who have they got? They got Inter Milan at home, Liverpool away, Milan at home, Atletico Madrid away, Salzburg at home, Feyenoord away, Sparta Praha at home, and Brest away. Personally, in my opinion, I think very similarly to Stuttgart, Leverkusen have a very difficult first 4 games, but after that, the last 4 definitely gets a lot easier for Stuttgart. So I also think Leverkusen will be one of those teams that will make it to the playoff round and get through from there, personally. And the game against Inter is going to be very fascinating. Liverpool at Anfield is a great narrative for Leverkusen because Xabi Alonso, former Liverpool player. Milan at home is going to be fantastic. And Atletico Madrid away. Like, these are some very fascinating matches that we're going to get. Like, in the old UCL format, there would have been no chance in hell we would have gotten games like this at a consistent basis. But now, we're gonna get more of these big games and more of these big opponents facing each other, and it creates for much more competitive, more exciting matches, which is another thing I really like about this new format. So anyway, those were Leverkusen's opponents. Let's go to Leipzig's now. So for RB Leipzig, they got Liverpool at home, Inter away, Juventus at home, Atletico Madrid away, Sporting at home, Celtic away, Aston Villa at home, and Sturm Graz away. Not gonna lie, I think from out of all of the Bundesliga clubs' draws, I think Leipzig have got it the hardest. Because Liverpool, Inter Milan, Juventus, Atletico Madrid, that's no rest there whatsoever for RB Leipzig. And those are gonna be 4 very difficult opponents that they're gonna have to play. And on top of that, they got the hardest pot 3 team to draw, Sporting CP. Watch out for those guys. I think they're gonna be very dangerous in this UCL League stage. So they got the hardest pot 3 as well in Sporting CP. Celtic away from home is gonna be very tricky and difficult. Like, people like to make fun and meme of Celtic, but Celtic at home, when Celtic are at home, they're incredibly difficult to beat with that incredible atmosphere they have around them. So that's, I don't think, will be an easy game for Leipzig either. Aston Villa at home, another really strong, the strongest pot 4 team probably they got. The only game I think that will be relatively easy-ish for them will be Sturm Graz away from home. Apart from that, I think all their other 7 games are going to be very difficult. So good luck to RB Leipzig for this new Champions League draw and format. So now let's go to Borussia Dortmund. They have Barcelona at home, Real Madrid away. So they got El Clasico teams and a repeat of the last Champions League final against Real Madrid. Shakhtar Donetsk at home, Club Brugge away, Celtic at home, Dinamo Zagreb away, Sturm Graz at home, and Bologna away. Now personally, Barcelona and Real Madrid are both going to be very difficult games for Borussia Dortmund, especially now with Hansi Flick being back at Barcelona. I think it's going to be very difficult for Dortmund to get anything out of either Barca or Madrid. But the good news for Dortmund is after those two guys, the other 6 opponents should be very doable for a team like Borussia Dortmund. And I'd even say I think they have a very high chance of making it into that top 8 bracket of teams that will automatically qualify to the round of 16. Like Club Brugge, Shakhtar at home, that's gonna be fine. Club Brugge away from home, I think they can handle that. Celtic at home, they're not gonna have that fierce atmosphere that Celtic have when Celtic are playing at the Dortmund stadium, so that's gonna help out Dortmund. Dinamo Zagreb should be relatively easy for them, I'd say as well. Same for Sturm Graz. Bologna maybe can throw a wrench in there and maybe grab a draw against Dortmund, but apart from that, I don't really see Dortmund struggling against a lot of those teams. So finally, here comes our group that I'm gonna list. Our group of 8 opponents. For Bayern Munich, we got PSG at home, Barcelona away, Benfica at home, Shakhtar Donetsk away, Dinamo Zagreb at home, Feyenoord away, Slovan Bratislava at home, and Aston Villa away. My thoughts on our Champions League draw is PSG, even though they're a good team, we usually own them and we beat them anyways, so I'm not too worried about that game. Barcelona might be one I could be afraid of because of Hansi Flick being a former Bayern Munich manager, now at Barcelona. We rejected him as well coming back to our club. I'm sure he'll have something to prove to the Bayern board, saying like, hey, this could have been you that you had me, and now you're gonna have to deal with these consequences. An angry Hansi Flick is not something you would want to see, especially if you're Bayern Munich. On our other next opponents, Benfica should be doable. Shakhtar should be easy. I mean, Shakhtar away from home. Shakhtar is going to be playing at Hamburg Stadium in Germany because of the situation going on with Ukraine. So that's basically 5 home games for us instead of 4. So that's really nice. Club Brugge, not Club Brugge, Dinamo Zagreb, that should be fine as well. Feyenoord away from home maybe could be tricky with that great Feyenoord atmosphere, but I still think it should be doable for Bayern Munich. Bratislava at home, they'll have no problems there. Aston Villa away from home is the team that could throw a spanner in the works because we're going to be playing at Villa Park away from home, and Aston Villa are a very good team, and they have a manager who has some history of beating us before in European competitions with Villarreal in Unai Emery. So that's also going to be a very interesting game as well. The good news for us is I heard Aston Villa were charging their home fan tickets with absurd prices, and they're having a very difficult time filling up their stadium with people and people buying tickets, which I think maybe means they won't have as good as an atmosphere as they normally have, which will help out Bayern Munich, because Bayern, no offense, usually have the louder fans compared to Premier League fans anyways. So that will also help us out. In terms of our schedule, the first team we're playing is Dinamo Zagreb at home. That's good. We should be fine there, even with some of our key player injuries. Aston Villa away from home in the second game though. We're not gonna have Ito and Stanisic back in time for that game. We're still gonna have Upamecano and Kim, which is not gonna be good. We also are gonna have a very difficult schedule because we got like Aston Villa, Barcelona, Leverkusen, Dortmund, Stuttgart, like all in 1 month, those games in October, I believe. So companies got a lot of work. October, yeah. So companies got a lot of work to do in all those games. And as I just mentioned, Barcelona will be the third team we'll play against, and it will be away from home. There is a decent chance Ito and Stanisic could be back from injury for that particular game, which is good news. And Barcelona won't be playing at their new home stadium that will be open later this year. It will still be their temporary home stadium. So that should also help us in terms of better atmosphere for our fans. Then we got Then the rest after that, as I said, should be relatively easy for us with not too many issues. Benfica at home will be the fourth game. PSG at home will be the fifth. Shakhtar Donetsk will be the sixth. Feyenoord will be the seventh. And Bratislava will be the last game. So personally, on Bayern's Champions League draw, I like it. I like this draw. I don't think it's too difficult, but I also don't think it's too easy, which I think is a good base level for us to start for this Champions League. And I do believe we're going to finish very high up the league table and qualify as one of those top 8 higher ranked teams. To be honest, I think we can even maybe push for top 3, top 2. Because when you look at our opponents relative to some of the others that the teams have gotten, it's definitely more favorable for us. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the German clubs' UCL draw and UCL matches, and also how I think Bayern Munich will be doing in this league stage of the new era of this Champions League. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to hit that like button down below, and if you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you all next time in the next video. So take care. Peace out, guys.